The final piece of this puzzle, the one that transforms these bureaucratic details into a world-changing event, is understanding the undeniable geopolitical endgame that has made the 2025 timeline not just a possibility but an absolute necessity for the global power structure. A reality where the revaluation of the dinar and dong is merely the first public domino to fall in a complete overhaul of the world's financial architecture. And this is not about making a few currency holders wealthy. This is about surgically removing the old guard of the petrodollar system and installing a new, asset-backed digital financial order where these revalued currencies become the linchpin for trade across the entire Eastern Hemisphere. The trigger, as confirmed by 3 separate intelligence streams I am in contact with, was the failure of the last round of U.S. Treasury debt auctions, a silent event that didn't make the mainstream news but sent a seismic shock through central banks worldwide, revealing that there are no longer enough buyers for the debt that has been propping up the current system, forcing a planned and controlled demolition of the old model before it collapses chaotically on its own. Iraq and Vietnam were strategically chosen as the launch points for this new system because Iraq sits on an ocean of oil reserves that will now be traded in a basket of currencies including their own revalued dinar, effectively ending the dollar's monopoly on oil, while Vietnam possesses the most dynamic and rapidly growing manufacturing economy in Southeast Asia, a critical supply chain alternative to China that requires a strong, internationally recognized currency to facilitate its trade. Agreements outside the dollar's influence. The closed-door meetings happening right now are not about debating the exchange rates. Those numbers were mathematically calculated and locked in over a year ago based on a secret formula tying the new values to a combination of each nation's gold reserves, oil production capacity, and GDP growth potential. The meetings are about the final, coordinated switch-on date for the global digital payment system that will operate in parallel to the old one. A system where these new currency values are the default. The public announcement we are waiting for will not be a news headline. It will be a simultaneous update to the official IMF special drawing rights basket, adding the new Iraqi dinar and Vietnamese dong at their revalued rates, an action that automatically forces every member nation to recognize and comply with the new values. And my sources indicate this update is scheduled for the first financial quarter of 2025. Coinciding with the rollout of the BRICS nations' new gold-backed trading token, creating a 1-2 punch that will permanently reshape the global economic landscape. For you, the currency holder, this means that the moment this IMF update occurs, your bank will be legally obligated to honor the new rates, but only for those who are prepared with the 3 documents we discussed, as the system is designed to filter for readiness, not just ownership. This is the ultimate call to action. The final warning before the curtain is lifted. Your time for passive waiting is over. The next 90 to 120 days are the most critical preparation window you will ever have. You must secure your Certificate of Legal Provenance, you must perfectly draft your ICE Form 7701 with the precise language I have provided, and you must ensure your banking relationship is active and primed for this transaction. Do not get lost in the noise of online forums and conflicting rumors. The blueprint for success has been laid out for you in this video with a level of specificity and insider detail you will find nowhere else. Your financial future is now entirely in your hands, and the difference between monumental success and catastrophic delay will be determined solely by your ability to execute this plan with precision and speed. This is your moment. Seize it with the seriousness it demands. Imagine waking up tomorrow to the news that a single decision by the International Monetary Fund has instantly multiplied the value of the currency you hold in your hands by thousands of percentage points. Picture bank accounts frozen, international borders closing to capital flight, and the very fabric of a nation's economy being rewoven overnight. This isn't the plot of a financial thriller. This is the palpable, nerve-wracking, and electrifying reality that hundreds of thousands of dinar investors and observers are facing right now as we hurtle towards the IMF's pivotal 2025 deadline for Iraq. For decades, the Iraqi dinar has been the subject of the most intense and controversial investment thesis in the modern world. A gamble on a future where a nation blessed with unimaginable oil wealth finally takes its rightful place on the global stage with a currency that reflects its true potential. The whispers have always been there, in online forums and hushed conversations, speaking of a revaluation, or RV, that would transform the lives of those who believed. But today, those whispers have become a deafening roar, a shockwave emanating from the core of international finance itself. The key that is turning the lock is something called final forex integration, a process so technical and dry-sounding that most people would gloss over it. But for those who understand its implications, it is the equivalent of hearing a starter's pistol fire for the economic event of the century. What does this actually mean in practice? It means that Iraq's financial system, for so long isolated and operating under its own unique, often opaque rules, is now being hardwired directly into the global system that governs every other major currency, from the US dollar to the euro and the British pound. This integration is the absolute prerequisite for any meaningful revaluation because without it, the dinar would have no mechanism to be traded, valued, or recognized outside of Iraq's borders. Think of it like this. For years, the Iraqi dinar has been a local player in a small-town league, playing by its own modified rules. Now, it's being scouted, outfitted, and prepared to step onto the world stage of the Champions League, where the rules are universal, the competition is fierce, and the stakes are astronomically high. This isn't just about updating software in banks. This is about Iraq demonstrating to the world that it has left behind the era of corruption, sanctions, and financial instability. It's a signal that its central bank can be trusted, that its monetary policy is transparent, and that its financial data is reliable. The IMF's 2025 prediction isn't a random date plucked from a hat. It is the finish line for a brutal marathon of economic reforms that Iraq has been forced to run. These reforms are painful and extensive, involving everything from anti-money laundering protocols to dismantling the complex system of currency auctions that have, for so long, artificially suppressed the dinar's true value. The removal of this subsidy alone is like taking weights off a balloon. The natural economic pressure is for the value to rise, and rise significantly. The shockwave we are witnessing now is the culmination of all this pressure building up behind a dam that is about to break. Every piece of financial news coming out of Baghdad, every statement from the Central Bank of Iraq, every meeting with the IMF is another crack in that concrete facade. The world is watching and the clock is ticking down. This is the moment where speculation meets reality, where the theoretical becomes tangible. The groundwork is being laid not in the shadows, but in the full, glaring light of international finance, and the implications are so vast they are difficult to fully comprehend. We are not just talking about a currency trade, we are talking about the rebirth of a nation and the potential for one of the most significant wealth transfers in modern history. But to understand where we are going, you must first understand the deep, complex history of how we got here, a story of war, oil, and a global financial system that is about to welcome a new, powerful player. To truly grasp the seismic shift that this final forex integration represents, we must first journey back and understand the deep valley from which the Iraqi dinar is now emerging, a history written not in ink, but in conflict, oil, and economic isolation. The modern story begins not in 2024, but in 1990, with the invasion of Kuwait and the subsequent imposition of devastating international sanctions that severed Iraq from the global financial bloodstream. Overnight, the dinar transformed from a currency of a burgeoning nation to a symbol of pariah status, its value evaporating in a hyperinflationary nightmare where citizens needed wheelbarrows of cash to buy basic bread. This was the era of the Swiss dinar and the Saddam dinar, a period of crippling fragmentation that left an indelible scar on the nation's economic psyche. Then came the 2003 war and the fall of Saddam Hussein, which, while politically seismic, did not instantly heal the financial wounds. The new, unified Iraqi dinar was born into a state of chaos, its value still a shadow of its former self, pegged and propped up by a complex and easily manipulated system of central bank currency auctions. For 2 decades, this has been the status quo, a nation sitting on a literal ocean of the world's most valuable resource, yet its people unable to fully benefit because its currency was disconnected from its true worth, a disconnect enforced by a necessary but painful system of controls. This is the core of the entire RV thesis. The belief that this disparity between intrinsic value and artificial exchange rate is an economic anomaly so profound that it cannot persist forever. The pressure for correction is not a matter of if, but when. and the when is being dictated by the International Monetary Fund's 2025 deadline, which is not a prediction of a specific revaluation date, but the final curtain call for Iraq's economic reforms. This is a critical distinction. The IMF is not in the business of setting currency values. It is in the business of ensuring global financial stability. Its program with Iraq is a structured sequence of milestones, a report card that the nation must pass to graduate from its post-conflict economic status and join the global economy as a full-fledged, responsible member. Every quarter, teams of IMF economists descend upon Baghdad, scrutinizing the books, assessing progress on fighting corruption, evaluating the health of the banking sector, and measuring the transparency of financial reporting. The final Forex integration is the capstone project of this entire multi-year endeavor. It is the moment when the IMF, the World Bank, and global financial markets collectively nod and say, Iraq is ready. The recent move by the Central Bank of Iraq to allow a more flexible exchange rate against the dollar was not a standalone event. It was a live-fire test of this new integrated system, a deliberate stress test to see how the market would react and to flush out the remaining weaknesses in the financial architecture. The temporary volatility we saw was not a sign of failure, but a sign of a system learning to breathe on its own without the iron lung of total control. This is the painful, messy, but absolutely essential process of a currency learning its true price in the real world. It is a process that every major emerging market has had to endure, and history shows us that the nations that successfully navigate this transition emerge stronger, more stable, and infinitely more prosperous. For Iraq, this is about more than numbers on a screen. It is about national sovereignty. It is about paying for imports in their own currency instead of hoarding dollars. It is about attracting foreign investment not just in oil, but in technology, agriculture, and infrastructure, because investors are no longer terrified of currency risk. It is about the average Iraqi citizen finally seeing the wealth of their soil reflected in the purchasing power of their pocket. This historical context is the bedrock upon which the entire shockwave is building, proving that what we are witnessing is not a speculative bubble, but the logical, inevitable culmination of a 20-year journey of recovery and rebuilding.